Hey, what's up? This is Aewon Wolf. Welcome to another video. Appreciate you clicking on the video, and hopefully what I'm going to share with you is help you on your journey, because that's what this channel is all about. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, all of that after watching the video, because it's got to mean something to you. So let's get started. So I'm going to tell you today is why I believe karma is real. This is an important factor of my life, and I feel like it's very important that other people learn this, because this can help you on your journey and it helps you balance and figure a lot of things out. So please listen to my reasoning and give me your thoughts afterwards. So let's get started. Why I believe karma is real. Number one, what is karma for me? I know there are many definitions, especially from Eastern philosophy and religions, from which the term is fundamental, such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Taoism, amongst many others. But the definition I refer to is my own, taken from its overarching intrinsic concept. As the word itself is taken from Sanskrit and roughly translates to action, my definition of karma is that every action I take has a consequence and a reaction on myself. So if I do good, there will be good I receive in return to balance my action. If I do bad, then there will be bad that will return to balance my action. Now that we have established what is my definition, we can move on to the next point. Point number two. I don't have proof, just my personal experience. I have to be clear on this point. As a person who respects the importance of scientific method, most of my evidence I will present is anecdotal and based on my personal experiences, observances, and faith. This is mainly because I believe that at this stage of science that we are at as mankind and the nature of this concept, it is almost impossible to experiment and test my hypothesis with the knowledge and instruments available to us right now. And thus we are unable to analyze clinical data to come to any real definitive conclusions. So for now, and for the sake of this analysis of making you understand how I came to my hypothesis of karma, we can still cover the first 3 steps of the scientific method. Number 1, we can ask the question, what have I observed? Number 2, we can do the background research to learn what is already known about the topic. And number 3, how all of this has led me to construct and believe in my hypothesis of karma. In doing this, I hope to help you better understand why I choose to believe in karma and treat it as a scientific fact. So what have I observed? I've experienced many things I cannot explain in my life, but one consistent one is that God somehow always provides for me. I've had many incidents where wrongs have been done against me, and consistently somehow when I take no action to repay the evil or wrong with a evil or wrong from myself, I consistently come out better than the person who wronged me. My faith in Jesus taught me that I should not repay evil with evil, but rather with good. It taught me that if someone slaps you, you then turn and give them the other cheek. This principle has been sometimes extremely difficult to follow through, but thankfully, through growth, prayer, and grace, I have become better and better at standing by it. See, in the Bible it says, never take your own revenge, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. Well, to me that sounds like karma, doesn't it? God essentially says, relax, don't do anything in revenge. Even if you think you've been wronged, it will be taken care of. By what, you might ask? Well, that's where I say karma. I've accepted and followed this principle in my life, and I've noticed that I always benefited from choosing not to repay the wrong with a wrong, but rather with a right or just walking away. I've also noticed that the benefit may not be a typical worldly benefit that others may see value in, but it's in things that I definitely now value most in life. For example, in a situation where I lose a worldly possession due to someone else's lies, greed, or malice, I usually gain peace, humility, and appreciation. These things that I gain may not conventionally mean a lot to the world, but I've learned in my path of happiness and fulfillment that they're worth way more than the world's treasures. In the hardship or inconveniences caused by the loss, I learn and grow in wisdoms that make me more resilient and wise and solidify my choice to be happy regardless of the external factors. This understanding also prepares me for things to come. After I choose to do what is right at the cost of losing a worldly pleasure or something I care about in the interim, other, better opportunities open up seemingly out of nowhere. And when they come, I find that whatever hardship or inconvenience I was put through from the evil or wrong done to me, I find that the same hardship put on me worked to make me better suited and equipped to utilize the opportunity that comes after. This observation in my personal experience has led me to believe that the teachings given to me by my faith are based in something that is beyond our current understanding. This, to me, is karma. Which brings me to my next point. Point number 3. Karma has always been and always will be. In thinking about God's design and how the world is, God gave me an answer in the form of an epiphany. If we are created in God's image, then we have choice as she does. But in our ability to choose, we are unpredictable and capable of choosing to destroy everything God has created. So it would make complete sense for God to create a universal law of consequence to balance our choices. It also makes sense to me that for us to really have a choice, we cannot be fully aware of this law of consequence, because then we would have a completely coerced choice and not a choice at all. So if the world is designed perfectly with universal laws to make it work, then it would make sense for there to be a universal law to balance our choice. We as humans have been given the ability to observe these universal laws and try figure them out to live better and to make better choices. But whether we choose to figure them out or not, they are always there, working to keep balance. Now, in doing my research on what is already known on the topic of karma, I noticed something intriguing. It would seem that almost all cultures, religions throughout history acknowledge or feed from the concept of karma in some shape or form. Essentially, the concept of your actions having consequences in your future can be observed right through from Eastern religion and philosophy, in which karma is overtly referred to, or by inference and adaptation in the idea that you sow what you reap, found in the Abrahamic faiths of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The concept can also be found in African religions and traditions. As in here in South Africa, we have the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Nguni term meaning humanity. It's sometimes translated as I am because we are. Also, I am because you are, or humanity towards others. In Zulu, we say umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. In Xhosa, the latter term is used, but is often meant in a more philosophical sense to mean the belief in a universal bond of sharing that connects all humanity. It is a collection of values and practices that people of Africa or of African origin view as making people authentic human beings. While the nuances of all these values and practices vary across different ethnic groups, they all point to one thing: an authentic individual human being is part of a larger, more significant relational, communal, societal, environmental, and spiritual world. And our being and actions affect that world. It is evident that humans have understood and acknowledged that our actions have impact on our environment and in turn have consequence on ourselves. To what degree and how exactly it works is where we differ. But there is a common base of acknowledgement or awareness of the causality between our actions and what happens to us. Which brings me to my next point. Point number 4. Karma is a universal law. Beyond the anecdotal, religious, and philosophical grounds listed in the previous points, there are certain scientific laws that lend to my idea of karma. Namely, Newton's third law that says for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Then the law of conservation of energy, which states that the total energy of an isolated system remains constant. This law, which was first proposed and tested by the French natural philosopher and mathematician Émile du Châtelet, I probably butchered her name, sorry, states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Rather, it can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. These scientific laws of physics, in my understanding, lend themselves to supporting the idea that our actions have consequence, and furthermore, that those consequences would be in direct response and resultant to the initial action. So in the case of choosing to do good, that good or positive energy doesn't disappear or end when it's given to others. It must go somewhere, and if we accept the concept of karma as a universal law of physics, then we can propose that somehow that energy we have given out to the world will return to us. It's not a stretch to believe that in a world that has such universal laws as the law of gravitation, which until its study by Isaac Newton could have just seemed ridiculous, abstract, and implausible, think about it. The idea of an invisible force that is actually keeping us and everything else on the ground, stopping us from floating in the air, must have seemed ridiculous and frankly beyond superstitious to any learned people of the time. Until the science caught up and its ability to quantify and prove it, I am actually backed it. See, another thing, Isaac Newton's discovery of the law of gravitation didn't start its existence when it was scientifically proven by him, but rather it was always there as a universal law, and we only started to figure it out and are still figuring it out at a later stage. This is where I stand with my belief in karma. I believe that the science might one day catch up and finally explain it, and we can maybe begin to quantify it and figure out its specific dynamics. But I do not need that definitive proof to believe in what I experience and observe. An invisible force working to balance the world. For me, there is a clear causality in our actions and our environment. And I further believe accepting and embracing this can begin to help us move forward as people and as a species which desires to benefit from this universe. Which brings me to my next point. Point number 5. Why it helps to believe in karma. At no point in this analysis do I claim that I know for sure and know exactly how karma works, but based on my faith and personal observations, I have chosen to believe it does exist as a universal law of physics that maybe someday be proven beyond a doubt. But one thing I can say with a degree of certainty is that we as humanity can benefit from believing in karma, whether it's 100% real or not. In the event that it is real beyond a doubt, it would help those who are motivated to act from a selfish position to actually start acting better for the sake of their community and environment. And in turn, we might see more balance and fairness in the world. Because when they begin to see their pain and suffering as a product of their own selfishness, then they will become more willing to take action to fix things and better their own behavior. Conversely, those who act from a selfless position and do good will begin to reframe their pain or hardships as not a punishment, but rather as a necessary process to make them better in ways that are not worldly, and thus making them better off in the long run. They begin to appreciate negatives as positives because knowing their true intention, they will trust for the best going forward. This will lead to having less resentment and disappointment in hardships and appreciation for the lessons and strength they bring. These benefits I mentioned also apply if karma is not real. So in my thoughts, why not believe it exists if it's going to help me be happier, less resentful, and more helpful to humanity and my environment? The world is and always will be what it is. So why not frame it in a way that lets you appreciate its beauty and not its ugliness? So that's my reason why I choose to believe in karma. Thank you so much for watching this video. Really appreciate your time. I'm in a beautiful location and I hope my point actually makes sense to you. And hit me up in the comment sections, hit the like, the subscribe, all those things. It's not that important to me, as you might know from this channel. It's your first time being on this channel. You can check out the other videos and figure out some stuff. But this is all about community and helping you figure out the best version of you and becoming a better person. That's what this channel basically has become about. I hope this helps you. It's about community. So hit me in the comment section if you got some points that I could learn from, and I'd love to learn and we can learn from each other. With that said, I appreciate you. I love you. And this is Aewon signing out. Away. Peace out. Later.